What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Dr. Joy. I am super excited about our mental health moment, about our Monday mental health moment, about our Hope Talk Live, about all the things. I'm really excited about it. So listen, um, one of the things that I have talked so much about in the last week has been, and it has like been a recurring topic. It's been a reoccurring topic, has been burnout. Like whether it has been my clients or my patients or like literally or just my friends. Um, swear this past week I've had at least 6 conversations about burnout and balance. And I was like, okay. There has to be something to this because, like, the fact that the conversation kept coming up, I obviously just believe that, there's something to be done with it. And so, one of the things that I want to discuss is being able to separate burnout um from just regular life stuff, right? Because sometimes one thing I know for sure that we will do is that we will grab a word, we'll grab a topic, and this is what we do as people in general, and we just hold on to it, and then everything becomes that. Everything becomes burnout, everything becomes overwhelmed, everything becomes like all the things, like whatever the things are, right? And so I really want to like kind of have a definition for what burnout is and figure out like, have you ever, if you're listening today, have you ever felt burnt out? Have you ever felt burnt out? Um, and before I go too far, listen, if you're catching it live, just say hi to me. I see the numbers going up. Say hi to me. I have it streaming to a couple of different platforms, like 8 actually. So just make sure you say hi to me so that I know you're here. I don't want nobody to be like, oh, I saw you on live. And then later they be like all the things. You didn't say that to me because I may or may not see you. So say hi to me because your hi definitely matters and I'll definitely speak to you. But also, if you are catching it on the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay. But let's get into this burnout thing. Let's get into it. What is burnout? Like, literally, what is burnout? So, burnout is literally defined as reaching the spot where you are at your limits. You're at your limits. You're at your wits' end. Like, if you've ever felt burnt out, I just want you to put in the chat, I've been burnt out. Just put in the chat, I've been burnt out. If not, it's cool. This message may or may not be for you. But like I said, I had a bunch of people this past week where literally that's been what, like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed with the news. I'm overwhelmed and burnt out with the things that I have to do for work. I'm overwhelmed with not being able to balance my life. I'm overwhelmed with not being able to put forth my best foot or put forth my effort, my best effort, or whatever the case may be. Like, and there are so many people that are experiencing this thing called burnout, or what they think is this thing called burnout. And so um and it comes across in all spaces, right? So that's whether you're a business owner, whether you're a ministry leader, whether you are a entrepreneur, whether you are a teacher, a friend, a love, like whatever, like you can experience burnout. And here's the other thing about burnout: you can experience burnout in more than one area of your life. How many people have ever experienced burnout in more than one area of their life? So I just want to pull up um, a couple of scriptures. There's a couple of things that I want you to talk about, that I want to talk about with you all. Burnout can't affect anyone. Like, it doesn't matter what your age is. It does not matter what your profession is. It does not matter what your background is. It literally is this state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. If you have never been exhausted, then again, this conversation may not be for you. But for those of us that have experienced this space where it's like, oh, I cannot go on, whether it's in a certain area or it's in like it's just in general, right? um Burnout can happen because of prolonged stress, and it can just be like a byproduct of overwhelming responsibilities. Like, how many people feel like I got too many responsibilities. Because I know I be like, adulting can be difficult, okay? Because these responsibilities are coming out of nowhere, right? And so sometimes, like, it's having like these overwhelming responsibilities that do not allow us to reach our full reach our full potential, right? So we're going to talk about how we can find um, how can you find rest in the midst of burnout? All right. So I want us to just jump right in. I want Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. I'm going to pull it up in the Amplified version because I have it here in the NIV, but I actually love the Amplified version of the Bible right now in this season, as the people say. So Matthew chapter 11. Let me pull that up really quickly. Verses 28 through 30. Matthew chapter 11. Hold on 1 second. Matthew 11. Okay, perfect. So Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. And y'all know, like, I love to give scripture because scripture is something that helps me to ground. And it's one of those things, like, I tell everybody, like, you need something that's going to help you to not, um, you need something that remains significant, that's going to help you to grab onto something. So I always talk about scripture, right? And so the scripture that comes with this burnout conversation is Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. Come to me, all who are weary and heavily burdened. And this is from the Amplified version. It says, by religious rituals that provide no peace. This is why I love this version of the Bible. And I will give you rest. And what the Amplified version of the Bible defines rest as a refreshing to your soul's salvation. All right. And then verse 29 says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. And the Amplified version says, follow me as my disciple, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy to bear and my burden is light. So one more time, Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. Come to me, all who are weary and heavily burdened by religious trials that provide no peace, and I will give you rest, refreshing your souls with salvation. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, following me as my disciple, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest, renewal, quiet, and blessed for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear and my burden is light. Listen, those are words strictly and straight from Jesus, right? He literally does not want us to be in a continuous state of burnout. This passage reminds us that when we are feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, that we can turn to Jesus for rest and solace. Like, that is one of the things that grounds me in space so much. And it really is this bigger part of taking care of ourselves and loving ourselves and understanding that we literally can turn to Jesus for rest and solace. Like, he literally says it in his words, and it is Jesus talking. It's the words in red for those of us who, you know, from the old school, from paper Bibles, right? Like, it's literally the words in red. Come to me, everybody who is weary and heavily burdened. Like, that is literally our step one to being in the space of peace, is taking it to Jesus. And then there's a passage in Psalms 23 that God tells us that we can lie down in green pastures. We have the comfort of God all around us, whether we are leaning in on Jesus or whether we have the comfort of God in green pastures. Like, whether you New Testament or Old Testament, God literally does not want us to operate in those spaces of like extreme exhaustion. So even when we feel like we are in the desert of burnout, God promises to lead us to places of rest and renewal, so that our soul can find the refreshment that we need. And so there are two things that we need to do that will help us to not be in this perpetual state of burnout. And I need y'all to write these things down. One is set boundaries, and two is prioritize self-care. Listen to me. Setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care. And I know that we are living in a time where self-care and boundaries are buzzwords. But it is super important that, especially if we don't want to find ourselves in that place of exhaustion, that we figure out how to set the boundaries that is necessary for us. Oh, I forgot to go live on Instagram, y'all. But anyways, sorry, squirrel moment. But set the boundaries. I need y'all to set the boundaries that are set the boundaries that work for you. Set the boundaries that work for you inside of your business. Set the boundaries that work for you inside of your health. Set the boundaries that work for you inside of your family, in your family life, inside of your home. Set the boundaries. And you don't have to be rude and disrespectful in order to set boundaries. It literally is just saying, hey, this is what works for me, and this is what does not work for me. And then when we set those boundaries, prioritize our self-care in whatever boundaries we have. Because listen, one of the things, and I've been saying this for years, it is completely irresponsible and it is dangerous to the people that we serve to not practice self-care. It is irresponsible and dangerous to the people that we serve to not practice self-care. What do I mean by that? Listen, if we are not well and we are not taking care of ourselves, like the people that we serve do not have a reason to take care of themselves. And I need you to think about that for a minute, because what are we modeling for the people that we serve? Whether it's our children, whether it's our students, whether it's our loved ones, they don't have a reason to, and they don't even know that it's a thing because we aren't taking care of ourselves. So we got to prioritize our own self-care. We got to prioritize our own self-care and our own boundaries. And so this, like I said, in the past week, I've had a bunch of conversations about not being able to prioritize our self-care or prioritize the boundaries because um because they were burned out, and because they can't find a balance. And what I'm beginning to understand, or what I understand, and what I am teaching is that, listen, this balance thing that we're seeking after, sometimes we're seeking after something because somebody else has told us to seek after that. And I am going to be getting into that a little bit more deeply tonight. I'm doing a pop-up. This is not planned by any means, because I think that we need to go deeper into a place to be able to talk about this notion of balance. Because what I believe is that balance is a myth. Like, I believe that with everything in me. Like, I don't think that you can reach balance because somebody told you, like, you need to have a good work-life balance. No, I think you need to have a conversation about what balance really is. And so that's what I'll be doing tonight. If you want to do that, I need you to go to meetupwithjoy.com in order to sign up for that, and just come to Zoom. It's free. And listen, I'm not asking you for anything because it's just something I put together just after all the conversations that I've had this week, because just I believe that is something that is extremely necessary. Um, as we're talking about prioritizing our self-care, and in order to prevent this burnout, and to help us to get to this place that looks like what the world is calling balance, I want you to look at Mark chapter 6, verse 31, where Jesus says to his disciples, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Listen, Jesus recognized the importance of taking time apart to rest and recharge. Listen, Jesus himself went back and was like, you know what? I need to recharge. Jesus himself was like, you know what? I can't do all of this and be at my best self. Like, Jesus was not getting ready to let himself get into exhaustion. And not only was he not getting ready to let himself be in exhaustion, Jesus decided and told his disciples, hey, y'all come away with me. Y'all come away with me, because we've been doing a lot of preaching, we've been doing a lot of teaching, and we need to make sure that we are resting. Jesus was leading by example, and that's what we have to do inside of our families, inside of those places where we have influence. We have to lead by example. We got to remember that there is so much importance of, like, the support of our loved ones, the support of our community, the support of our families, in order for us to be able to overcome this burnout. If you look at Ecclesiastes chapter 4, it says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Listen, it is biblical that we gotta be in community. And it is biblical that that community keeps us out of burnout. Listen, That scripture literally tells us that if we fall and we're in community, if we've set our boundaries and it's not working and we're in community, like there's somebody that holds us accountable and says, you said you were going to do this. If we fall and we're in community, there's somebody who can pick us up and help us along the way. But if we fall and we're by ourselves and we're not in community, that's why so many of us enter into this stage of burnout, which is simply like this space of extreme exhaustion, because we're trying to do everything alone. When we're struggling with burnout, it is super vital for us to lean into our community. Burnout is real. Like the world is using it as a buzzword, but it's real and it is a challenging issue. But here's the reality. Like I told y'all before, we don't have to face it alone. Hi, Penny, I see you. We don't have to face it alone. That is not something that we have to face alone. So tonight at 7 p.m., I'm putting together, even as we speak, I'm putting together a quick pop up to help us to understand why balance is a myth and why it is not balance or the lack of balance that is causing our burnout. That's not what it is. And so I'm going to have that conversation tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to meetupwithjoy.com. That is meetupwithjoy.com. Meetupwithjoy.com. Sign up. Come, is free. It's going to be on Zoom. I'll see y'all tonight. Y'all have a blessed and amazing day. And remember, get in community, prioritize your self-care, prioritize your rest. Prioritize your rest. You do not have to be in burnout. And burnout is not a result of a lack of balance, because I believe that balance is a myth. And I'll tell you more about that tonight if you join me in the Zoom room at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Meetupwithjoy.com. If you did not grab that, go ahead and DM me and I'll make sure that you have the link. But it is right at meetupwithjoy.com. I'll try to put it in really quickly just so you can see it. Nope. Let me see if it'll. There we go. Meetupwithjoy.com. Meetupwithjoy.com. Very simple. Go to meetupwithjoy.com for tonight's pop-up, 7 p.m. I'm going to be talking about why balance is a myth, and I am going to show you or completely I'm going to completely blow y'all mind on how I am able to prioritize some things and make sure that I am getting the most out of the time that I have. And I'm not doing that with balance. I'm not doing that with balance. All right, listen, beloved, you all have a blessed and amazing day. We will. I will talk to you at 7 p.m. if you decide to join me. If not, just remember that if you just take the thing that I want you to take away from this live is that do not find yourself in burnout and exhaustion as a leader, as a ministry leader, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a father, as a loved one, as a sister, as a brother, whatever it is that you are. Do not find yourself in burnout, which burnout is what we define as an extreme exhaustion. An extreme exhaustion. Do not find yourself in that place of extreme exhaustion. Prioritize your self-care and prioritize the things that you have to be able to do in order for you to be successful. And also in that priority space, remember that you can come, like that you can take it to Jesus. His word says in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. God is literally inviting us to exchange with him the things that we have that are heavy for us so that he can take that from us. Like God literally does not want us to be in burnout. Dr. Ali, I see you. Hey, how are you? Yes, absolutely. No burnout. We definitely want to make sure that we are operating in our fullness everywhere that we can. So when we find ourselves even going towards those spaces, that we figure out ways to come out. And so again, that's exactly what I'm offering you tonight. Listen, we're going to be talking about balance being a myth. Yes, it's a pop-up. It's happening tonight. It's free, completely free. Just head over to meetupwithjoy.com. And I will be there at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to have this conversation with you about staying out of that exhaustion and overwhelm and all of those things, and how balance has little to nothing to do with it. Like nothing to do with it, because I don't think it's real. But anyways, we'll talk more about that tonight. Listen, you have a blessed and amazing night or day, because today it is today. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.